These rainbow half stripes are so unique, and you can add optional green and gold shamrocks for a St. Patrick's Day celebration. For the cake layers, you can use any flavour, but using rainbow colours makes them even more fun to cut into. I divided my very vanilla cake batter between 5 bowls and added a drop of gel colour to 4 of them, leaving the last bowl plain. Then I cut the ends of 5 piping bags and spooned the batter in, and then you can pipe the batter in squiggles to make a random colourful pattern. Tap the pans so that the cakes are level, and as they bake, the edges will darken like they always do, but the insides will be bright and beautiful. I like to chill my cake layers after they cool so that they're less crumbly, which makes the next few steps much easier and neater. 30 minutes in the freezer is enough time for them to firm up, but they'll come back to room temperature and get nice and soft again before you eat the cake. After assembling your cake, by alternating the cake layers with whatever filling you choose, cover the cake in a crumb coat to trap any crumbs that come off the cake. This is my 4-minute buttercream, and the recipe is on britishgirlbakes.com. Piping it on first is the quickest, and when you spread it around the cake, you'll pull off fewer crumbs this way too. Chill the crumb-coated cake in the fridge for 30 minutes, or the freezer for 15 minutes, to set the crumb coat before spreading on your next layer of frosting. Scrape around the cake a few times with a cake comb so that the sides are straight and fairly smooth, and then switch to a striped cake comb. You need quite a thick layer of frosting for stripes, at least as thick as the grooves of your striped cake comb, so that the grooves on the comb don't dig through this frosting and into the crumb coat. Keep scraping until your stripe grooves are very neat, with smooth edges, and don't worry about the top edge of the frosting yet. Put the cake in the freezer for 15 minutes to set these stripes, and meanwhile prepare the colours for the rest of the stripes. Here's a hack for rainbow colours that you can mix in just one bowl without washing the bowl in between colours. Start with yellow, and after scooping that out and into a piping bag, you'll continue in this order, which obviously isn't the order of the colours in the rainbow. The reason for this order is that the leftovers of each colour in the bowl can blend together with the next colour without muddying that colour. For example, leftover orange mixed into red is fine, and leftover red mixed into purple is fine. So you end up with bright colours even though they've all been prepared in the same dirty bowl. Well, not dirty, just not washed and dried in between each colour. If you want to make half stripes, you'll need a piping bag with plain white buttercream in it too. Take your cake out of the freezer and use your cake comb to score a diagonal line into the cake, and another one on the other side of the cake, so they're dividing the cake in half. Pipe the white buttercream into the striped grooves on one half, and then scrape around the cake with a straight-edged cake comb to push this buttercream all the way into the grooves. And also take off the excess, scraping in both directions if you're comfortable doing that, so that the ends of the stripes don't drag very far into the other half of the cake. If there are any indents or air pockets, spread more buttercream over those areas and scrape again. Scrape until you've left a smooth surface behind so that the stripes blend into each other to make a solid white half of the cake. Now use your rainbow colours on the other half, following the same technique of piping and then scraping, scraping, scraping in both directions until the stripes are smooth and they lie flat against the white stripes so they look almost painted onto the cake. Put the cake back into the freezer for 2 minutes while you fill a glass with hot water, and find a sharp knife. Dip the knife into the hot water and take your cake out of the freezer and cut around the top edge to take off the buttercream that's sticking up, leaving a smooth, straight, sharp edge. My top stripe is too thin. I should have made my filling a bit thicker to add some height to the cake, or baked another layer of cake. Oh well. To cover up the join of the two halves of the cake, spread out a piece of cling film on the counter and pipe the leftovers of your coloured buttercream onto it, one after the other, or pipe 3 with the next 3 on top. Roll them into a log and cut off one end so that the colours are right up against the edge. If you want to use several piping tips, you'll need a coupler in your piping bag. If not, use just your chosen piping tip. Now, lower the cut side of the log of rainbow buttercream down into the piping bag. If you're using a coupler, you can use various piping tips to add different textures. I'm starting with these swirls or spirals, which I'm piping with a 1M star tip. And then you can just unscrew the coupler ring and switch to another piping tip and screw that on. I'm piping these ruffly ribbons next with a petal tip, a number 125, and finishing with these little rosettes with a 4B open star tip. These are great to add last, to fill in any gaps or to widen the band of piping any way you think it needs it. Stop here for a rainbow cake, or for St. Patrick's Day, add these fun shamrocks. Put the cake in the fridge and pipe a few shamrocks onto a piece of parchment paper or wax paper. Pipe a dot using a small round tip like a number 4 and drag with your piping tip to make a teardrop shape, or spread the dot gently with an offset spatula to drag the shamrock leaf inwards. Squeeze the dot out for a few moments to make it bulge so you have more frosting to drag out next. I'm making 4-leaf clovers, and after finishing the cake I googled shamrocks and clovers to find out the difference, and wouldn't you know, shamrocks are only supposed to have 3 leaves. If you make 3-leaf shamrocks, yours will be even quicker to pipe, with 1 less leaf on each. Add a stem with the same piping tip. Piping onto paper is great practice before piping onto the side of a cake, which is a bit trickier. And you'll turn these into gold shamrocks in a few minutes. Put these into the freezer while you make some gold paint by mixing gold luster dust with a few drops of any clear alcohol, like vodka, or a clear flavour extract, like clear vanilla. You can also buy edible gold paint in bottles instead. Take the frozen shamrocks out of the freezer and paint each one, using little dabbing motions for the thickest coverage, which will give you the strongest, most metallic gold colour. Put these back into the freezer for a few minutes to set the colour. Measure a piece of parchment paper or wax paper so it will wrap around the white half of the cake. Marking the diagonal onto it will make it easier so that your piping won't get in the way later. Cut those diagonal ends off now and fold the paper in half again and again and again, then unfold it and do the same in the other direction to make a grid. Take your cake out of the fridge and the piping should have set so you won't damage it. Wrap your paper grid around the cake and pin it in place, and then use another pin to poke through every other join in the grid along one row. And then for the next row, poke through every other join or crease, so that the places you're poking are not one above the other. They're offset. These dots you're poking will guide you as you pipe your shamrocks. Next, pipe green shamrocks onto the cake, using the same technique as you did onto paper earlier, covering all of the dots you poked into the cake, but leave one diagonal empty to cover with the gold shamrocks next. Pipe a tiny white dot onto those empty pinprick dots, and then pick up a gold shamrock by sliding an offset spatula underneath it and press it gently into the buttercream dot. Continue along that diagonal. I love adding edible gold to cakes because it's so unexpected. This is such a fun cake, and the diagonal divide is so eye-catching. I teach hundreds of cake decorating techniques and designs like this one on my cake school. Go to britishgirlbakes.com and click Cake School, and you can take individual courses or choose a membership for access to all of the courses and live sessions and more. Thanks for watching.